Hi, how are you doing? In this video, we're going to talk about the locus of control. That is, are you in control of your life? Are you your own authority, or do you typically defer to an external authority? Those who are their own authority are more likely to be proactive, while those with an external authority sort will be more reactive. So we're talking about NLP metaprograms here. So let's get down to it. A lot of people eat junk food, get sick, visit a doctor, start a medical treatment, and then as a last resort, they may take a look at natural therapies. Now, I've seen this over and over again with people who eat junk food, smoke cigarettes and marijuana, drink too much alcohol, gamble in the hope of winning a fortune, and then they get a cancer diagnosis and then immediately step onto the chemotherapy conveyor belt as if that is their only option. Now, in the West, mainstream medicine dominates. So the presupposition is that mainstream medicine should come first. And for many people, the first thing they do when they feel unwell is to visit a doctor, which in some cases could be a good idea. But then rather than taking the information given to them by the doctor and then gathering more information from a number of other sources, they do what the doctor tells them to do. Now, from personal experience, I can tell you that is not a good strategy. In my younger days, I suffered at the hands of the medical professional, and gradually, as I got older, I learned to treat them as a consultant. Someone you see to get an opinion, but then take that information and consider the benefits and the consequences of the treatment that they offer before making a decision. Now, for a long time, the medical profession referred to all other healing professions as alternative therapies. In the last few years, there's been a slight improvement, and now they refer to those who are not mainstream medicine as complementary therapies. But the presupposition still is that mainstream medicine should come first and everyone else is second. Now, there are two sides to everything, and what you have to consider are the possible benefits and consequences. If you visit a doctor, what are the benefits and what are the consequences? If you visit a naturopath, what are the benefits and what are the consequences? What is the upside and what is the downside? So in terms of health, are you proactive or are you reactive? So those people who routinely get the flu vaccine might think they're being proactive, but are they really? Have they considered both benefits and consequences? Have they spent time gathering information from multiple sources? And where is the locus of control? Are they blindly trusting an external authoritarian authority? And who are the corporations that produce and sell the vaccines? What is their agenda? Are they working for your best interest, or do they have another agenda? These difficult questions need to be discussed. So there are two types of people. The sheep has an external authority and does whatever the sheep herder tells them to do. The wolf has the courage to do their own research and make their own decisions and live their truth. So which one are you? Are you a sheep or are you a wolf? If you're a wolf, then take the opportunity to make hay while the sun shines. Prepare for the worst while you have the strength and the resources. Don't procrastinate and think that you can rely upon the medical profession to help you if you get sick. Be more future-oriented. Be aware that at some time in your life, you will probably get ill. You can mitigate that, of course, by immersing yourself in a healthy lifestyle starting from today. So the proactive person takes action just in case. These are the preppers, the ones who have a disaster prep strategy. They're ready for any catastrophe. The proactive person considers the past, the present, and two possible futures, a negative future and a positive future. On the other hand, the reactive person ignores the past, has no idea of the future, and lives in the present, oblivious to what may happen tomorrow. So the proactive person is more likely to have an internal authority sought with an external check. The reactive person doesn't really listen to anyone. However, once they get sick, they do what the mainstream medical profession tells them to do. So which one are you? Do you do what the authority figures in your life tell you to do, or do you gather a lot of information and draw your own conclusions? And when you gather information, do you have a bias, that is a prejudice, a prejudgment, or are you willing to consider all options? This is also going to bring in the element of trust, which is going to be based upon your personal experience. Now, as I've got older, I think I trust people less. So I don't blindly trust anyone, especially in the medical profession, whether they be a doctor or a naturopath. For example, 18 months ago or so, I got a frozen shoulder. I couldn't lift my arm more than this. I discussed it with a couple of friends who had a frozen shoulder. I discussed it with my doctor. They all talked about having steroid injections. I did my research and I looked at the possible side effects. I said, no way. And then a couple of months later, I had 2 frozen shoulders. I tell you, I couldn't lift them more than this. But then over the next 9 months, by just making a few changes to my lifestyle, both shoulders healed to about 80% of their original health. So now I can lift my arms up like so. Now, another example, a few months back, more than a few months back, I can't remember, but 5 months back, things were a bit stressful, to say the least, and a couple of skin cancers developed on my arms. And I actually considered visiting the skin cancer clinic. But one of the things that stopped me was a memory of a friend who visited a cancer clinic and how badly he was treated. So anyway, I thought maybe I should go and get an opinion. So now we get to the proactive strategy. In my early days, apart from one time that I got severely sunburned when I was 15, I always took great effort to protect my skin from the sun. And some years ago, I had the opportunity to have intravenous EDTA for heavy metal chelation. The clinic also offered intravenous vitamin C, so I had them add that to the bag. It was quite expensive, so then I looked at giving myself intravenous vitamin C at home. But I couldn't obtain one essential ingredient, so I shelved it for a while. Then the point is that I didn't really need the vitamin C treatment. It was a good practice just in case I got sick. So then I looked at making my own liposomal vitamin C, and I watched dozens of videos on YouTube on the science of vitamin C, and then I found a recipe, bought the equipment, and then learned how to make my own. The interesting thing is that my physiotherapist, she's a physiotherapist, naturopath, doctor sort of. Anyway, she advised against taking vitamin C supplements, and my doctor was not able to offer me any help, so it was left to me to make the decision. So having an internal authority sort with an external check, I started making liposomal vitamin C. And then I got severely stressed, as I mentioned, and the skin cancers flared up. Now, if you're not aware of it, stress is a trigger for a lot of illnesses, including cancer. And it was the German doctor, Dr. Hammer, who studied 15,000 cancer patients. Now, in each and every case, there was a significant emotional event 1 to 3 years prior to the onset of the illness. That is not to say that stress causes cancer, just that, according to Dr. Hammer, that if the person develops cancer, then there will be a significant emotional experience 1 to 3 years prior to its onset. If you use NLP techniques to heal the negative memories, then it could support the healing process. So I think to myself that I should give the liposomal vitamin C a go before visiting the clinic. I persevered for a few weeks. Then lo and behold, after about 3 weeks of 12 grams of liposomal vitamin C per day, the cancer's healed and my skin is looking so much healthier. So my suggestion is to be an individual. Be a wolf. Gather information from a wide range of sources and skill yourself up. Get some practice with a range of diets and health practices. You may never know when you may need it for yourself or a loved one. Learn everything you can about nutrition. But what is the best source of information? Who can you trust? Now, as you know, in NLP, we look for people at the top of their profession, people who are fine examples. So when it comes to health, all we have to do is look for people who are healthy and model out their lifestyle and diet. And there was a dentist who did that back in the late 1930s. Dr. Weston A. Price travelled the world to study isolated groups of people living on a traditional diet and compare them to people living on the foods of commerce, what we would now call junk food. Now, I intend to talk more about Dr. Price in other articles, in other videos. But in the meantime, you can learn more about traditional diet from the Weston A. Price Foundation website. The important thing is that when you model out a traditional diet, you want to make sure you don't cherry pick and do what fits your belief system. For example, just because the Japanese Okinawans ate small quantities of soy with fish broth and veggies doesn't mean that you should eat massive slabs of soy in a huge bread bun. You get that? What you need is to find a group of people who've had the same diet and lifestyle for 3 generations. For example, in Malaysia, there are distinct ethnic groups: Chinese, Malay Indians, people from the Middle East, and a few from Burma and the Philippines. The ethnic groups self-segregate and they eat a traditional diet. And it's a great place to visit. And you can get an idea what the different ethnic groups eat from their restaurants. And you can see the differences in their racial form. And personally, I think the Malay Indians have the best diet. Now, the last person you want to take advice from is someone who has been on a diet for 6 months. They seem to be in glowing health. So they write a book and claim they found the fountain of youth. But then a couple of years later, they're on a totally different diet. So then they publish another book. And so it goes on and on and on. So let's look at my action hero, Arnold Schwarzenegger. Now, Arnie's now become a vegan and he's loving it. So go online and take a look at his face. Look at his jaw. Did he get that on a vegan diet? Of course not. So even though he might think that he could have built an amazing body on a vegan diet, he has no proof. Now, I read Arnie's autobiography decades ago, and from memory, when he was around 14 years of age, he wrote his master plan. He's Austrian, right? So he wrote his master plan. He wanted to be a Mr. Universe bodybuilder. He also wanted to be a famous Hollywood actor and an American politician. And he achieved all these goals. So he did good. You've got to give it to him. He's an amazing guy. So back when Arnie was 14, he knows that he needs to eat protein to build muscle. But he's a poor Austrian boy. So he buys the cheapest meat he can find, which from memory was pig's testicles. As he got older, he ate a dozen eggs a day. So the excellent nutrition that he got as a child, as a teenager, and young adult built that amazing body. So he has good genetics. That is, the phenotype matches the genotype, which means that as an adult, he could become a vegan. No problem, no problemo. But, you know, if you feed some poor infant a vegan diet, you'll never produce a body shape like Arnold's. In most cases, the vegan child will be tall and skinny with a narrow mouth and pointed jaw. And while I'm on this topic, can you show me a 3rd generation vegan? I keep asking this question and no one has yet provided the evidence. So when you model out the diet of healthy people, you want to find out what they ate as a child up until the age of 18. You also find out what their parents and grandparents ate. So make it a practice to ask people what they ate as a child. Look at their body proportions, look at their face, their jawline, their smile, and their teeth. And you also need to do a comparison between the siblings and between the child and their parents. And when you do the comparison between siblings, you want to get an idea of how far apart they are spaced. Because you'll find there's a difference. If the children are born just 1 year apart, or they're born 6 years apart, well, then the mother's had more time to build up her nutritional status. So once you start to recognize the differences, these differences in the racial form, in the phenotype, and what the person ate as a child and the parents, grandparents ate, it'll blow your mind. Okay, so that's it. The point of this video was to learn how to have an internal locus of control, gather information, weigh up the information, and make your own decisions, and learn from your mistakes as you go. And the second point was to be proactive rather than reactive. These are two traits of a conscientious individualist. All the best to you, and I look forward to seeing you again.